Drew Dawson, I'm the Director of the Appleton Research Institute based at Adelaide as part of the Central Queensland University system.
You've been talking about megatrends today, Drew. What is a megatrend?
I think the general consensus is that a megatrend is an influence that is operating globally, but it's not a risk, it's a known certainty. That is, these forces are going to happen in the next 10 to 100 years.
Now, from an agricultural point of view, what are some forces or megatrends that may impact on agriculture in the next 100 years?
I think, well, depending on which megatrend report you look at, there are broadly 6. They relate to a couple of issues. Probably the biggest one is the medium to long-term changes in demographics, and the sense that world populations will stabilise probably around 9 or 10 million people by around 2050 and then start to decline as fertility across the world declines with better education. That leads to some very short-term pressures to feed 10 billion people, but in the longer run the decline back to 3 to 4 billion people means that we're going to face a shrinking global economy, shrinking demand, and that's going to be on a population looking to service an increasingly small population. So I think that demographic is a fundamental principle that's working there. We also have principles related to resource scarcity as a result of that, and that's overlaid by factors related to climate change, political instability that flows from that, and I guess the recalibrating of global power as it's happening over the last years. We're seeing the decline of a small number of superpowers to an increasing number of superpowers sharing it, or middle superpowers, but also an increasing reluctance of people to operate at the international level and to service the need for public goods in terms of defence, global economic investment, those kind of things. So we're seeing a retreat in many cases back to a larger number of middle-level powers rather than the traditional US, Russia, China tripartite arrangement.
Are there opportunities, though, particularly for agriculture, with these changes in megatrends?
There are always opportunities. The question is how well you can anticipate and plan for the most likely futures and to minimise the risks that people are taking. This is a very personal perspective, but I think we're starting to see a big shift towards risk management, with people putting more eggs into more baskets rather than having this traditional, highly monocultural industrial farming processes. And I think we're going to start to see a lot of farms, particularly in Australia, start to move back and say we can't afford to put all our eggs in one basket because we can't predict with any certainty anymore where that particular commodity price will go, what the vertical global supply chains will be interacting with it, and I think that's a really challenging issue for farms. So I think we're going to probably see, as Di was talking about today, a bigger shift towards mixed farming, and the realisation that in an increasingly uncertain world you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket.
Is it going to be economically feasible, though, or more economically feasible, to diversify and go back into operations like mixed farming with livestock and cropping?
Well, it's always an interesting debate. That is, the more you industrialise your production, the cheaper the costs, and in theory, the cheaper the costs, then the better the profits. That is, the economies of scale. But what's often not well understood is that there is also a principle of what are called diseconomies of scale. That is, if you create a very efficient production of wheat and the bottom falls out of the wheat market, it doesn't matter that you're incredibly efficient, you've just now lost a little less than you would have lost otherwise. But you can't stay in business that way. So I think it's about finding that balance between risk managing across a number of income streams and increasing the efficiency to the optimum level. But there is, in my view, an economic argument that we need to be very careful about, which is that increasingly narrow industrialised production systems which are incredibly efficient aren't necessarily effective given the uncertainty we face. So I think it's about organisations and individual farmers finding that balance between spreading the risk but also trying to create the optimum level of efficiency. And I think increasingly we're going to have discussions around the difference between optimum efficiency and maximum efficiency.
Professor Drew Dawson from the University of Central Queensland, thanks for talking with us today.
My pleasure.